Yo, you want to see something cool? No? Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Welcome back to the Backyard Republic. Our last episode, we talked about how our American farmers and how brands that were supposed to be America are no longer manufactured anymore. We're going to kind of expand on that to hear recently some things that I've seen in the news. I hope this makes y'all as mad as it did me. Imagine your own government throws $20 billion behind another country's economy. That same country turns around and then undercuts your farmers, steals your biggest exporter of a good, and leaves the heartland holding the bag. That's not a hypothetical situation. That's Argentina, and that's China, and that's the U.S. farmer that they've left holding the bag. We bankrolled our own competition. So tonight we're talking about soybeans and sellouts. So here's the deal. Washington greenlighted $20 billion of support package to Argentina. Not a bag of cash. It was wrapped up in a fancy currency swaps, bond stabilization, economic support. Translation, taxpayer back. Doesn't matter how you cut it, it's taxpayer back. And it was a lifeline to Argentina and to its farmers. And what they were afraid of is China coming in and doing what they've done in Africa. Build infrastructure, give them money for whatever Argentina wanted it to do. That's what the U.S. was afraid of. Now, we had the opportunity to do that under Barack Obama. And what we did instead in Africa is give them money for queer studies and gender mutilation and all types of stuff like that. That's what they passed the money to do. And then African Americans said, we don't want that money. We don't want that. What we want is roads. We want infrastructure. They said, well, you can do that, but you have to do this first. So they put stipulations on everything. And that's what Argentina was going to end up doing. So Trump, he's just said, okay, we'll give you $20 billion taxpayer money. You know, you do your farm and all this stuff. So, well, and Argentina, so what they did, they put all this money into soybeans and soybean farming. And as soon as that happened, within weeks, China jumped in, booked at least 10 cargo ships of soybeans and cut America out because we were the main exporter of soybeans to China. And in 2024, we shipped 985 million bushels to China. This year, only 218 million. I don't care. China can start. But we do need to find some other place to offset these soybeans. To instead of giving Argentina $20 billion, supplement our farmers with that $20 million. So it was replaced by cheaper beans in a country that we helped prop up. You couldn't script a dumber trade strategy if you tried. And Trump's supposed to be this make a deal kind of guy. Maybe he has other plans or some other shit. I don't know. But it's not looking good for the American farmer. So what it means in real life is DC is not talking points land. Our farmers are losing their largest customer. These aren't hedge fund guys. These are people who get up at 4 a.m., fix their own tractors, and work till dark. Argentina has a price advantage, and China's using it and to squeeze us. So Argentina is able to do it cheaper than we do because of the labor they use, and we prop them up $20 billion. So China is using that. It's smart enough to say, hey, you know what? We can buy it for pennies on the bushel than what we could for the U.S. So we're going to go ahead and do that with Argentina. When Argentina is making that money back, we're not going to get that money back. We gave that to Argentina, so we're not going to be able to get that back. And you got both sides of the aisle that are pissed off about it, and the optics of it don't look good. American dollars helping a foreign competitor to cut the throat of American farmers. That's horrible. And you know the whole premise of Trump's entire existence in politics is America first. And I'm not sure if he means the American government first or the American people first. When I hear the America first, I think of the American people first. not the American government. And I don't know if he thinks that giving Argentina $20 billion is going to keep China out of there. It's not. It's not. Argentina, if they're smart, Argentina is going to come in and let China build its roads and bridges and stuff. They're going to let everybody pay for everything else if there's something that they can need. And what does Argentina have that China needs? A geographical advantage on this side, a place where they can put air bases, a port, military bases, and then they can just come on up the southern border. We already know that China's friendly with Mexico, and this socialist president they have, that chick, whatever her name is, but we already know because they've had a Chinese military march into a Mexican parade. So we already know that if they do have a planned invasion of America, speaking hypothetically, of course, it's going to come up from Mexico. All right. So where's a good place to start at? Argentina, all the way up through Central America, up through Mexico, across the border, and they're in Texas. They have access to the Gulf border, and they're in Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, all along the coast. It's just bad strategy. And I guess that's what Trump's thinking. Well, if we give these people what they need, they'll take care of us. No, they won't. They won't. That's not the way the world works anymore. And what the White House has said that they're stabilizing Argentina, and so it doesn't fall into China's orbit. Except Beijing still got its soybeans. That was one thing that we held over China, is that we gave them a lot of food. That's one thing America does. We can produce food better than anybody. And a more diverse. We talked in the last episode. We can grow practically everything in America. We don't need anything from anybody, but we still import food from other countries when we don't have to. This is just big numbers of small brains, is what I hear in all this stuff. They're thinking of the immediate future, but not the ramifications of what's going to happen down the line with U.S. farmers. $20 billion to a U.S. farmer. What does that do? Instead of letting Bill Gates and all these other people in China buy farmland, kick these people off. Incentivize new farmers. Use that $20 to $20 billion to incentivize new farmers. Me and the old lady, we'll move out west. We'll load these kids up. We'll move out west. We'll have a farm, a ranch, something. Incentivize people to open farms again. We talked about how, in the last episode, the American farmers practically disappearing. And it's not because of people not wanting to do it. It's because it's not a sustainable living, because we export so much stuff, import so much food from other countries, and we allow countries to have businesses come in here that cuts our farmers out. To me, America first is if you have a business, if you're a country that has a business, doing business in America, you're doing business with Americans. You're not importing your own shit over here. You're not cutting the throats. You're going to have a standard that you're going to have to meet. You're going to have a certain amount of food, a certain amount of cars that you're going to have to purchase from America if you're going to continue to do business over here. Same thing with Nike over in China. They're making $300 shoes over there for $3, and then selling it to us for 300 bucks. Those days would be gone. That's not America first. That's the American worker last. And people are like, well, what can we do? One thing that we can do is we're the number one country of consumption. We buy cars every 3 years. In other countries, they buy them every 20. Try to look at Cuba. Cuba still got cars from the 50s still on the road. We have multiple pairs of shoes, multiple pairs of clothes. We consume more goods than any country in the world, probably more than any two countries combined. And still, we let companies and corporations come in here, dictate to the American consumer what we can buy, how much we buy it for. And to me, that's just insane. So if America truly wanted to make a difference, especially like with Nike and Apple, where they're using child labor, exploiting the loose labor laws of third world nations or China or whatever. You have a universal minimum wage. Make it a universal minimum wage of $15 an hour. That way, companies that are from America bring their manufacturing back to America, or they're still going to pay these people $15 an hour or $20 or whatever they come up with. But a universal minimum wage worldwide, if a company does business in America with Americans, or if it's an American company doing business overseas, they have to pay a living wage to every employee. That's what the holdup is. You have slave labor. And if they don't do business with America. How much money is Nike going to lose if they don't do business with America? Billions. Do you think they want to take that hit? So what do we tell our American farmers that have grown soybeans and sold it to China and was able to make a living? What do we tell them? Hey, sorry, we kind of screwed you over with this, but you know what? Just cut back a little bit. Tighten your belt up. Turn your air conditioner off. Turn your heat pump off. Just suffer a little bit. These people have been suffering long enough. They've been taken advantage of for decades. And it continues. Everybody thought that Trump was going to be able to come in and do everything. Look, I'm a Trump supporter, somewhat. But I want Americans to succeed. I want American farmers to be wealthy. I would rather pay American farmer professional sport wages because I know they're going to turn around and put it back in their farm. Our priorities have gotten lost in America. We've set actors and professional athletes and influencers up on a pedestal, and these people just outside of sports, what do they do? What do they do? OnlyFans models. They're prostitutes, and our kids see this, and they see success as money. That's the way that they judge success, is that they have a lot of money. That's not success. That's wealth. And yes, wealth is helpful. Yes, wealth does a lot. Wealth influences a lot of stuff, but that's not success. To me, success is what you give back to your community. Success is how people look at you and how they view and talk about you. Am I successful? It depends. In what aspect? Am I successful with my family? Some days. Some days I'm not. Some days my kids don't like me. My wife don't like me. But I have to figure out how to be successful again to where they do like me and stuff. Instead, professional athletes get $100 million to play a sport that we pay to go watch. I think our priorities are skewed. It's discussing how teachers are paid. I don't agree with most teachers. Most of them are liberal hacks. Well, not around here, they're not that bad. Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, maybe. You see all the other stuff and all the stuff they put on social media because they're dumb. Police officers, firemen, first responders, they don't get paid much. They get paid shitty. Should they be in six figures? Absolutely. Absolutely. Nurses get paid pretty good. Doctors get paid pretty good. Security in hospitals should get paid more. Absolutely, they should get paid more. But back to the point. Y'all get me going on this stuff, and I just keep on. So what do we do with China? What do we do with Argentina? So the only way we can compete is if we cut our prices to Argentina prices or below. That way China can come and get money for us. That puts us in a bind again. At least that puts us back in a deficit with China with the trade stuff. If you remember back when Trump's first administration, he was going to make China pay us back $250 billion or more in a trade deficit because we're the only one in this whole world that's practicing free trade. We're the only ones. Canada was running up a $60 billion trade deficit against us. Mexico, $200 billion trade deficit with us. And when Trump comes out and says, hey, you know what? I'm going to need that $60 billion or you ain't getting anything else from. What'd Canada do? Well, hey, we'll cut off our maple syrup to you, eh? Who cares? Who cares? America was 12% of the Canadian of the country of Canada's GDP. That's a huge amount. Same thing with Mexico. We're the biggest consumer for both of those countries, and they owe us money, and I want it back. I want it back. I want it to go back to my family. I want it to go back to the farmers and manufacturers that kept their shit here in America. I want that money back. So I don't know if you hear my son back in the back. He's gaming. It doesn't sound like he's doing very well. I hear a lot of grunting and moaning and grinding the teeth. That's okay, because I'm getting that right now myself. I'm reading over my notes, going through this stuff, and I'm grinding my teeth because I start talking about this shit and I get aggravated. I get upset. My voice is cracked a couple times because I'm mad. And well, Billy, you're not a farmer. Why do you care? Because I'm an American. I care about people. I care about people's well-being, their family, even Democrats. I don't want any of them to suffer. I want them to smarten up. But that's $20 billion. Why didn't we just go ahead and give that shit to China? Just go right ahead and give it to China. So all this, who's our American farmers are collateral damage to all this stuff. It doesn't matter if it's bipartisan or whatever, left, right, red, blue. They'll tell you it's just stabilization of Argentina. Why it destabilizes our American farmers. And here it is again, our government bailing out somebody with our money. With our money. This time it's not corporations like it was back in 2008 after the banks and all that shit. It's a whole country. We're stabilizing a whole country that has what do they provide for America? Border patrol, a border safety? No, $20 billion should have been used to overthrow the Mexican government and the cartels. Put that in there, and put someone in there that's more friendly. Or just $20 billion you annex all of Mexico and make Mexico America. You have New Mexico and you have Old Mexico. They can still keep all the Mexican, all the Mexican lore, all the Mexican heritage and stuff. So like the Irish do in Boston. But $20 billion could have went to something better than flipping Argentina, who turned around and cut our throats, and dealing with our biggest competitor on the global spectrum of everything. It wasn't a bailout. It wasn't a bailout. It was betrayal. It was betrayal of our American government, of the Argentinian government, and China is reaping the benefits of it. So how do we fix it? How do we fix it? Their leaders are going to say, well, it's diplomacy. F diplomacy. Take care of America. That's why you were elected. As a conservative, that's why. As a liberal, a Democrat, you were elected to change America fundamentally, to make it a socialist country. So I don't know how we fight back. Call you senator, call you representative. Raise hell. If you're in Tennessee, call Marsha Blackburn, call Tim Burchett. Raise 48 kinds of it. Diana Harshenberger. I don't know if that bitch will answer the phone. Marsha Blackburn gets back to me. Tim Burchett's got back to me before. Never heard back from Harshenberger, I don't believe. But as long as we sit back and allow this stuff to happen, and that includes hold Trump accountable too. Don't give him a pass. Don't give him a pass because he's not Joe Biden or Barack Obama, because he does have good policies and stuff. The bad policies, hold him accountable to it. The mistakes, hold him accountable. Y'all stay loud. Stay lit. This is the Backyard Report.